Okay, next question. Hey Anthony, I recently had a crash out riding when I was descending, and myself and a car collided awkwardly. One broken collarbone later, but the recovery physically wasn't as bad as this underlying fear I have of it happening again. How can I recover mentally from this and get back on the bike and perhaps get back to descending with confidence like before?
It is hard. You've had a couple of spills as well. Did they affect you afterwards?
Yeah, they stay with you for sure. And you're a lot more nervous. You stay a little bit further back from the wheel in front of you. Where I'm certainly, when I first started cycling, Anthony and I went away and I was descending, I was following his wheel, I was doing everything he
Descending like
did.
somebody who never tasted tarmac, we call that.
Exactly. Yeah. Reckless, I would say. But after a couple of spills, like when we were in Mallorca the last time, you said to me, you're like, oh, since you've gotten better on the bike, or gotten more experienced on the bike, your descending has become
Start having
poorer.
awareness of what could go wrong.
You do. You're like, whoa, this could go really, really wrong. I really like my teeth and, I don't want to crash here. So you become a little bit more cautious. So yeah, of course, this is actually a question that we get in now and again about how to recover mentally from crashes. So
I think the
it's so fun.
type of crash depends how long it stays with you. If you have a big bunch crash and you're in a Sunday race and there's 100 people, someone touches a wheel and it goes down like Skittles, they typically don't stay with you that long because there's not much you could do to prevent that. Maybe someone will argue your position could have been better, but it's largely out of your control. I find the ones that will stay with you longer are the ones that are in your control, where you slid out because you didn't moderate your speed or you took the wrong angle going into a corner. But I think in general, there's a 4-step process for getting over these type of crashes. And the first part of it, it sounds a little bit cliche or corny, but bike riders, we have a tendency to just dust it down and on to the next. And the first part of the 4-step process, it's actually allow yourself to acknowledge that you did crash and feel the emotions that go with that and feel, okay, I actually am a bit scared to get back on the bike. And so many people gloss over that. And I think once you've done that, then it's a case of getting back in. I'd say step 2 is like gradual exposure. If you've had a crash at 60 kilometers an hour on a technical descent, don't go straight back into doing that again. Can you go, your local hill, which is a much shallower descent that's not technical, build up the speed on that until you get back to a point and adding a little bit on each time you go out. And then once you've done that, or as you're doing it, I don't think these steps are like sequential, but they can happen all at the same time simultaneously. I think you need to look back and honestly learn and reflect on what's going on. We have someone in our club and the last couple of years has had a lot of crashes over and over again. And if you were to, in the cold light of day, analyze these, maybe you'd say, there's a pattern here that if we step back and we acknowledged that there's an underlying problem, you could go and address that problem. But when you just onto the next. And then I think the last one, last part of the 4-step process is like Dave Brailsford will say, control the controllables. Like, was your crash, which I've had many of them, where I slid out, that could be a tire issue. Are you using the right tires for the conditions? Or are you listening to, your social media influencer? Are you getting Puck Moonan's tire suggestions? Or are you actually going to trusted, experienced sources that are riding the same environment as you, that have the same, geographical challenges, the same type of tarmac? So tire choice, are you using the right brakes, general safety equipment, control your stuff. After you've controlled your controllable, I think you just need to, as you'd say, Jesus, take the wheel.
I have certainly done that in some gravel races where I've been in places that I probably shouldn't have been, going at certain speeds I shouldn't have been. I'm just like, Anthony's like, how'd you get through that? And I'm like, oh, I just said, you know what, Jesus, take the wheel here.
Yeah, it's
That's
not
the
a
good
good
one.
philosophy.
Any of the crashes that I've had, when I've looked back on them, there has been massive gaping holes in my bike handling ability. I was going too fast, my equipment. So yeah, take a little while and like reflect on what went wrong. Don't just, as Anthony says, back on the saddle straight away.